That's what inner engineering is about. If your context shifts from your psychological and physiological process to the life process that you are, everything has changed. Because we must understand this. As we sit here, this is my body, that's your body, this is my mind, that's your mind. But there's no such thing as this is my life and that's your life. This is a living cosmos. Everybody is free to capture as much as they want. If you capture substantial amount of life, your very presence will become a significant life. Otherwise, you will become a mediocre life. This is the important thing. It's not the knowledge you gather in your head, it's not the muscle that you gather in your body, it's the life. How much of a life are you? This will make you significant in your very presence. If world gives us an opportunity, we'll do something impactful. Otherwise, we are just a significant presence. A huge oak tree standing outside, it is not trying to create any impact, it is just impactful. If you go under its shade, you'll feel it, otherwise also it's impactful. Most people notice it only when it's gone. When I was 25 years of age, when suddenly things burst forth within me, and I realized if I sit here without messing myself, naturally I'm bursting with ecstasy and every cell in my body drips ecstasy. I thought initially I'm going off my rocker. Then again and again when I saw over a period of 6 to 8 weeks, when I saw if I just close my eyes, I just burst into ecstatic states. So I clearly realized, if I don't mess with my physiological and psychological process, ecstasy is the only way to be. Nothing to be done, you don't have to do anything. When I realized this, I sat down and actually planned. On that day, the world's population was 5.6 billion people. I made a plan in 2.5 years' time that I will make the world ecstatic. No fool like a young fool, you know. Now, it's been 37 years, not 2.5 years. Well, people say we have touched over 500 million people or so. Don't say whoa, you don't woe my failures.
Yeah, I guess.
Because my idea of humanity is 7.6 billion people. 500 million people, time going away, I'm condemned to die a failure, but I'm a blissful failure, all right? So, what we need is just this. Do you want to live in a beautiful world means what? Beautiful does not mean just a beautiful view of the ocean or something else. Beautiful means human life here is pleasant within every human being. The question is not about what I wear, what I drive, where I live, but how I am within myself. See, what we can do in the world is a question of times. In which time of history we exist, accordingly we do things. If we were here 100 years ago, we wouldn't be recording all this stuff, all right? We would be doing something different. But human experience is constant. Whichever generation you are, you can either be blissed out or misery. Always, forever. It has been so and it will be so. So, what we can do in the world is subject to many realities of the times.
Passion put us over the edge. Passion set us apart. Passion made the difference. Can I tell you something? When you're passionate about something, it isn't reasonable, but you do it anyway. When you're passionate about something, it's not possible, but you do it anyway. When you're passionate about something, passion will take you where nothing else will ever take you. It'll give you that decided edge. It'll help you to stand out. Wow. Now, let me just say something about purpose and dreams and finding your purpose. I wrote a book a few years ago called Put Your Dream to the Test. And basically it's questions you need to ask yourself to make sure if your dream is a valid dream. And I would go around and I would teach off of this Put Your Dreams to the Test lesson, and all of a sudden it hit me that there were a lot of people that didn't have their own dream. I had assumed when I wrote the book that everybody had a dream. I've had a dream. And all of a sudden I realized there were people coming to me and said, well, I don't have a dream for myself. And I could see that they were a little lost, and all of a sudden it hit me. And this is what I want you to understand. You may not have your own big dream for you, but it is probably because God has someone for you that he wants you to join and help them fulfill their dream. You see, this is a biblical principle. Not everybody has their own purpose and own personal dream. Look at the fishermen down at the Sea of Galilee when Jesus walked into their life and said, hey guys, follow me. I'm going to make you fishers of men. What did he do? When he walked into their life, he gave them a dream that they didn't have. He gave them a cause that they didn't have. He gave them a person to hang around with that they didn't have. And let me tell you something. Sometimes God has people literally designed to come along and complement each other so that the dream can be filled. Teamwork makes the dream work. I've seen it happen many, many times. I can tell you right now, for many of you, it's happened in this church. You found this church, you found this place of grace, this oasis, this place of vision, this place that is making a difference, this dynamic place. And all of a sudden you started pouring your gifts in here, your spiritual gifts, your financial gifts. You just kind of lost yourself and just dove into this congregation. And now you're seeing amazing things happening. And it's an absolute fact that some of you, your place, your purpose, your dream is to come alongside, complement, add value, and do something for someone that they cannot do for themselves. Every great person is great because people have come around and supported that dream and supported that vision. Look at Jonathan and David in the Old Testament. Jonathan rightfully was going to be the next king. His father Saul was the king. He was the rightful heir. But when he saw David, he said, no, David is the anointed one. I'm going to back up. I'm not going to be the king of Israel. I'm going to support David. I'm going to let him be the king of Israel. I'm going to be a king maker. And Jonathan understood that whole possibility of putting his purpose into the purpose of someone else.
Now, obviously, when you believe that something is the case, it implies that you don't know. You have no evidence for it, but you believe it. So you wouldn't say, I believe in this table. I don't have to, because I know it's here. Well, we call it table, who knows what it is on other levels. But you don't need to say, I believe in this flower. I know there's a flower here, or at least that's on this level of perception. So belief implies you don't really know, but you would like something to be, and that's interesting. In religions, those things are regarded as very important. You believe in certain things that have been transmitted to you from generation to generation, that are in the books. And then you have a certain belief structure. And since you're not free of ego, it becomes incorporated into your sense of identity, the collective identity of we, the believers in these particular kinds of stories. There is in the English language, there's the word belief, and there's also the word faith. And they're quite different, but sometimes people don't realize the difference. In some languages, there's no difference between these two words. In Spanish, you have fe, which is faith, and creencia, which is belief. But if I remember correctly, in German, you only have one word for faith or belief, and that would be Glaube or Glauben. But they're very different. Faith is, a true meaning of faith is a deep sense of trust. And what you are and you have that deep sense of trust because you are connected with the essence of who you are, which is one with the essence of the universe. I forgot to mention that before. You are connected with the essence of who you are, that's the vertical dimension. You realize yourself as consciousness. And that consciousness is not yours, although I sometimes call it your consciousness. It's not yours. Because if I said my consciousness, I would have created a duality. There would have been me, an entity who has consciousness.
I don't care what happens to you. I don't care what you're going through. Under no circumstance, don't you dare ever give up.
I want to encourage somebody out there who's thinking about quitting and giving up. Somebody who has been praying for years for things to turn around. You're thinking about quitting. You're thinking about giving up. You are folding. You are caving in. This is for you.
You're in this storm and you're down on your knees and you're cold and you're weak and you feel like this is the end. You have a choice to either give up or keep going. Give up or get up.
One of the things that we know about life is that it is always changing. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes things go real well, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes you're happy, and sometimes you're sad. Now that's that thing called life.
It is the biggest trick that the enemy has, is making us think we ain't gonna make it. Water down the illusion that there's a possibility that you might still have a chance to get over. The biggest trick he uses is when you make a mistake and you fall, he gets you to start to thinking it's final, that there is no resurrection, there is no redemption, there is no recovery. He just makes you think it's final. He is the master deceiver. Don't you dare ever give up. I don't care what besets you, befalls you, trips you up, what circumstantial situations may arise. Don't you dare ever give up. Because listen to me, these are tests that you are going through. And these tests, whether you pass the test or it appears that you failed the test accomplishes the mission if you're smart about it. If you pass the test, let's say you're going through a situation and you get over and it goes the way you want it to do, then what you've learned is if you hang in there, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, mission accomplished. If you fail the test and it doesn't go the way you want, and it goes the opposite, and it turns out into a negative result, and the response you were looking for is a no, that's not final. That doesn't mean it's over. That doesn't mean it's time to turn back. It simply means that now you have learned a valuable experience. You have learned a valuable lesson. You now know what not to do. You are now, because you know what not to do, another step closer to getting it right. Listen to me. It has to happen this way. You have to have the rain in your life to get the flowers in your life. You got to have the darkness in your life to appreciate the sunshine in your life. You got to have woes and worries to appreciate the joys. It is merely a test. So when you get through failing, and you get through stumbling, and you get through messing it up, all that's getting you one step closer to getting it right. Oh, my relationship ended. Yeah, I'll never be able to find another person like that. Well, not only will you be able to find a person like that, you can find a person that's far better than that if you don't give up. But see, sometimes you got to go through the bad ones to get to the good ones. Don't you dare ever give up. I don't care what happens to you. If you lose a loved one, and Lord knows I've lost some people I've loved dearly, with every inch in me. I've lost my mother, my father, my brother, and my best friend. I don't know. I know people who have lost their children. Goodness, man. can't even imagine that. But they kept on going. What you giving up for? Oh, I got you, miss 'em, and I got you grieving. But I got news for you. Don't you let the devil make you think it's over for you because somebody else ain't still here. It was their time. Now, I'm not trying to lessen the blow for you, but I'm trying to get you up on your feet so you can stop all this, oh, woe is me, because the things that's happening to you, you're not the first person it's happened to. Come on now, let's get a grip. Let's wrap your mind around this thing. You have got to move forward if it's just in memory of those people. I was on one of the commercial breaks the other day and somebody asked me something and I forgot the question, but my answer was, I've always wanted my mother and father to be proud of me. And in their absence and their demise, I'm hoping just somehow, man, that they watching me, that they see their boy, that I'm down here, that I'm doing better, that I'm making something about myself, that I'm loving my wife, that I'm taking care of my kids. Just want my old man to see that about me. You know, I want my mother to see that I'm trying to get my life together over here. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be a better person. My mama was a Sunday school teacher for 40 years. She been praying for me for a long time. I just hope, man, and that's all I'm doing, is just hoping that they see me so they can be proud of me. See, you got to understand that when you make these mistakes, that when you fall and stumble and you get it oh so wrong, it ain't over for you. Don't you dare ever give up. Don't stop thinking, man, because it ain't happening just the way you want it to, that it ain't meant to be. Don't get deceived. The victory's coming, but you ain't gonna get it if you quit.
Some of you are in the darkest of darkest valleys. I don't know what you're going through, but I know what you need. Hope. And I want you to know that beautiful things can come from your broken pieces when you give your broken pieces a chance.
I don't care how dark it looks for you. I don't care what they done said to you. I don't care what the verdict is. I don't care what the haters say. It ain't over. No matter what happens to you, it ain't over. Ain't no such a thing as over. Do you know, man, that you can actually mess your life completely up? You can jack it all the way up and you can turn around and get it right. Do you know that you can be divorced multiple times and still be okay? Do you understand that you cannot have a degree and still be just fine? Now, whatever you've been through, whatever that is, guess what? You still here. You have a great life in front of you, but your great life is in front of you. It's not behind you. Everything you're going through is preparing you for what you asked God for. You just got to quit tripping while you're in the process, because the process is necessary. You may not see it now, but when he gets you on the other side of it, you're going to see exactly why it went that way. And you're going to be okay with it. Pull yourself together and quit tripping, because you in the process. God is processing you. He ain't through with you. If he was through with you, you would not wake up in the morning. When you feel like giving up, don't. When you thinking about giving up, don't. When it look like you ain't gonna make it, keep going. When they tell you you can't, come on, man, who are they? When they tell you to put all your stuff back on your desk, don't do that, man. Don't do that. When they tell you you're not gonna make it, don't believe them, man. Don't believe them. You got to be relentless.
I want you to be able to say something to yourself that will enable you to maintain a level of integrity with yourself. That when you say this, even when you face tremendous setbacks, it will be a benchmark to keep you in the game, to keep you moving forward and experimenting and readjusting your strategy and your plan of action, continuously looking for ways to win. So what is that something? When you got an idea you want to move on, you might not have the money, you might not have the education, you might not have the support or the resources you need. What is that something that can keep us going, that will enable us to act on our dream? What's one of those keys that will begin to help us to discover the secrets to our dream? Here's what I want you to repeat after me, please, with power and conviction. Say, it's possible. That's all I want you to do when you look at your dream. Just say to yourself every day, it's possible. Just say that every day to yourself, it's possible. Because what does that do? See, it begins to change your belief system. See, the way in which we operate, ladies and gentlemen, it's a manifestation of what we believe, what's possible for us. Whatever you've done up to this point, all that it really is a duplication, it's a reproduction of what you believe subconsciously that you deserve and what's possible for your life. Most people operate out of their personal history, out of their memory, things they have done, things they've experienced, things they've seen, things that they have observed. What I'm suggesting that you operate out of a larger vision of yourself. I want you to see yourself doing what you want to do, experiencing what you want to experience, having what you want to have, doing what it is that gives your life some meaning and value. Operate out of your imagination, not your memory. Because whenever you look at where you want to go, I'm wanting to warn you, you will have some conversation back here after you go through the data that you've experienced in life saying you can't do it. And so what you want to begin to do is ignore that inner conversation. Well, most people, ladies and gentlemen, when something happens to them, what they do is they begin to believe that that's the way it is. That's the way it's always been. And they can't see the possibility of it being any different. Example, before April 1954, the common belief, the universal belief, because it had been tried again and again and again, and people had failed, the belief was that man was not physically capable of breaking the 4-minute barrier, that he could not run a mile in less than 4 minutes. That was the belief on the planet. It had never been done. But here's what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Bannister came along, and he broke the 4-minute barrier. Now here's what's significant about that. Since that time, up to this day, over 20,000 people have done it, including high school kids. What changed? 20,000 people, what changed? Here's what happened when they got on the track. They knew it had been done.
What is your motive for action? What is it that drives you in your life today, not 10 years ago, or are you running the same pattern? Because I believe that the invisible force of internal drive activated is the most important thing in the world. I'm here because I believe emotion is the force of life. All of us here have great minds. You know, most of us here have great minds, right? I don't know if I'm in the category, but we all know how to think. And with our minds, we can rationalize anything. We can make anything happen. We can, I agree with what was described a few days ago about this idea that people work in their self-interest. But we all know that you don't work in your self-interest all the time. Because when emotion comes into it, the wiring changes in the way it functions. And so it's wonderful for us to think intellectually about how the life of the world is, and especially those who are very smart. We can play this game in our head, but I really want to know what's driving you. And what I'd like to maybe invite you to do by the end of this talk is explore where you are today for 2 reasons. 1, so that you can contribute more. And 2, so that hopefully we can not just understand other people more, but maybe appreciate them more and create the kinds of connections that can stop some of the challenges that we face in our society today. They're only going to get magnified by the very technology that's connecting us, because it's making us intersect. And that intersection doesn't always create the view of everybody now understands everybody and everybody appreciates everybody. So I've had an obsession basically for 30 years. And that obsession has been what makes the difference in the quality of people's lives? What makes a difference in their performance? Because that's what I got hired to do. I got to produce the result now. That's what I've done for 30 years. I get the phone call when the athlete is burning down on national television and they were ahead by 5 strokes and now they can't get back on the course. And I got to do something right now to get the result or nothing matters. I get the phone call when the child is going to commit suicide and I got to do something right now. And in 29 years, I'm very grateful to tell you I've never lost one in 29 years. Doesn't mean I won't someday, but I haven't done it. And the reason is an understanding of these human needs that I want to talk to you about. So when I get those calls about performance, that's one thing, like how do you make a change? But also I'm looking to see what is it that's shaping that person's ability to contribute, to do something beyond themselves. So maybe the real question is, you know, I look at life and say there's 2 master lessons. One is there's the science of achievement, which almost everyone in this room has mastered to an amazing extent. That's how do you take the invisible and make it visible, right? How do you take what you dream about and make it happen? Whether it be your business, your contribution to society, money, whatever it is for you, your body, your family. But the other lesson of life that is rarely mastered is the art of fulfillment. Because science is easy, right? We know the rules, you write the code, you follow those, and you get the result. Once you know the game, you just, you up the ante, don't you? But when it comes to fulfillment, that's an art. And the reason is it's about appreciation and it's about contribution. You can only feel so much by yourself. So I've had an interesting laboratory to try to answer the question of the real question, which is what's the difference in somebody's life if you look at somebody like those people that you've given everything to, like all the resources they say they need. You gave them not a $100 computer, you gave them the best computer. You gave them love, you gave them joy, you were there to comfort them. And those people very often, and you know some of them I'm sure, end up the rest of their life with all this love, education, money, and background, spending their life going in and out of rehab.
Right? Some people do better because they have more time. I used to say, Harold ought to be able to do well. He's got a lot of time. If I had all of Harold's time, I could do well. Now that's got to be dumb, right? Number one, you can't get somebody else's time. A guy says to me one time, he says, you know, if I had some extra time, I could make some extra money. I said, then forget it. There isn't any extra time. Hey, when the clock strikes 12 midnight, that about wraps it up, right? I mean, you can look around the gongs there for a little more, but it's over. You say to the guy, what are you doing? He says, I'm looking for extra time. See, they'll come and take you away, right? There isn't any more time. Now, if you can't get more time, which you can't, what could you get more of that would make a difference in economic results? And here's the key word. Make it a part of your notes. We're going to consider it tonight. The word is value. And I have a little phrase for your notes. Value makes the difference in results. Value makes the difference. You can't get more time, but you can create more value. Now here's the first lesson of economics. Everybody should learn it from the time they're old enough to understand what a dollar means. How to earn one, how to get one, how to keep one, what to do with it. First lesson of economics. We primarily get paid for value. That's lesson one. Bringing value to the marketplace, that's how you get paid. You don't get paid for the time. I know it takes time to bring value to the marketplace, but you get paid for the value, not the time. Now, since that's true, here's one of the key questions of the evening. Is it possible to become twice as valuable at the marketplace and make twice as much money in the same time? Could you become 3 times as valuable? Make 3 times as much money in the same time? Is that possible? The answer is yes, if. And it's always if, right? Life is known as the big if. Harry Truman once said, life is iffy. How true. And here's the big if, we're going to consider it tonight. It's possible to do much better at the marketplace if you go to work primarily on yourself. And that's the theme of our seminar tonight. Learning to work primarily on yourself. People have asked me for the last 24 years, how do you develop an above-average income? And the answer is, become an above-average person. Develop an above-average handshake. Some people want to be successful, they don't even work on their handshake. As easy as that would be to start on. They let it slide, they don't understand.
Now guess what? The reason I don't know how to make $3 billion, and the reason I ain't got to worry about the how, because the how-to is none of my business. See, the problem that people do is you get in God's way. See, you tell God what you want, then you mess up and tell him how you want him to do it. The problem is you can't tell God how to bless you. All you got to do is write down what you want. God will give you everything you write down. I'm telling you, it used to be a lot of stuff on here I had to take off. You don't see no cars on here because they all in the garage. I'm telling you, everything I have ever put on this board eventually comes true because the scripture says this, write the vision and make it plain so that he who reads it, that's me reading it, will run to it. And even though it tarry means take a long time. Even though it tarry, wait for it. For surely it will come at an appointed time. You're gonna get it, it's just at the appointed time. The problem is, he don't ever tell you when the appointed time is. That's the trick. You gotta keep the faith. It's going to happen. See, my first vision board I wrote when I was 10, I didn't know it was a vision board. The lady asked me what I want to be when I grow up. I wrote, I want to be on TV. I wrote it at 10. I kept that paper till I was 27. I read it. I flunked out of school. I'm on my third marriage. I lost everything twice. I've been living in a car for 3 years. But I kept reading my paper. Guess what? I'm TV star. I'm on TV. This is how this works. Now, I wrote it at 10, but surely it will come at an appointed time. I did not get on TV till I was 38, but my appointed time was 38. Boy, let me tell y'all something. Y'all better hear me now. I'm telling you this how this works. Success ain't a magic trick. It's a set of principles. Don't matter about your education. People in here way smarter than me. People in here got way more degrees than me. Education ain't in the Bible. The Bible says a man without a dream or vision shall perish. So guess what? You can't out-vision me. Your key is don't let nobody out-dream you and don't let nobody outwork you. That's how you get the life of your dreams. You don't need no education. Harvard ain't in the Bible. It's not in there, man. USC ain't in the Bible. It ain't in there. All them principles of success is. I bet you if you write it down, God's promises don't ever come back void. You know what that means? That means God don't say nothing he don't make true. Now you believe that now. This world gonna end one day.
Have you ever had somebody leave you and they thought when they left you that you wasn't gonna make it? Send them a picture. Do a selfie.
I want to check your stability today, okay? I want to check your emotional stability. Are your emotions stable?
You don't have to have a perfect person to have a marriage. You don't have to have a perfect job to pay the bills. You can make it on broken pieces. Stop focusing on what you lost and start living on what you've got left.
The key is what we do in our times of pain. Pain will change us. Heartache, loss, disappointments, they don't leave us the same. If you go through a divorce, a friend betrays you, eventually that will pass. You'll get through it, but you will be different. Now, how the pain changes you is up to you.
I have learned that every blessing doesn't come to stay. Every relationship wasn't meant to last. Every friend is not going to be a lifelong friend. God will send people in your life for a season because you needed that at that time in your life. And if they walk away, don't stand there at the tomb of what used to be and cry over what was, because if you'd have needed them for the future, they would have stayed.
You can come out bitter or you can come out better. You can come out defeated, giving up on your dreams, or you can come out with a new passion, excited about the new opportunities in front of you. All of us experience pain. My challenge, don't just go through it, grow through it. That difficulty is an opportunity to get stronger, to develop character. Anybody can give up. Anybody can let it overwhelm you. But you know what that's doing? Wasting your pain. That pain is not there to stop you. It's there to prepare you, to increase you, to develop you.
You need to be your own best ally, your own best friend. Don't be against yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't love anybody else. Come on, some of you, your biggest problem right now is you don't like yourself.
You cannot impose your will on me, so you can wish it, you can want it, but you can't make me be what I don't want to be. You have to always keep your heart prepared for rejection. Never get so comfortable in the lap of the applause of men that you actually believe it, because it is easy to love people when other people love them. The hardest time to love people is when everybody turns against them and they're writing about them and they're talking about them and they're in the news and they're in the paper and they're everywhere. And that's why I exalt loyalty above everything else, because I appreciate most not the people who are with me when people are with me. I appreciate people who are with me when everybody turns against me and you knock on my door and say, I still love you. Now you got clout with me.
Realize this, just because it's a chapter, it doesn't mean it's your whole story. So for me, I just understand that it's very important to embrace pain, to go through it, because I believe the foundation of all strength is pain.
I've gotten rid of all my problems because I have a choice. Nobody wants to hang out with negative, dark, and dysfunctional people, including certain people in my family. I don't need no negative energy, homie. I want to wake up every day and smile.
This is a softened generation. So if you have any mental toughness, any ability, if you have any fraction of self-discipline, the ability to not want to do it but still do it. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. I'm training my mind and my body and my spirit so it's all one, so I can handle what life is going to throw at me. Because the life I've lived, it throws a whole bunch at you. And if you're not physically and mentally prepared for that, you're just going to crumble and you're good for nobody.
Because on the other side of that is your growth. On the other side of that is strength. Even in going through pain, like I look at pain as a positive thing. I'm not talking about putting yourself through pain on purpose, but it's just like working out. You know, the only way you're going to get strength in your life is if you go through that hard moment, that tough moment.
Successful people know how to change with the times. They don't get stuck in a rut, doing the same thing the same way year after year. They're constantly evaluating where they are and what they're doing, and they make adjustments so they can improve.
Life is hard. It's tainted by malevolence and betrayal. That can make you bitter. You need a meaning to offset that. Where's the meaning to be found? Not in rights, not in impulsive pleasure, but in responsibility. You take responsibility for yourself. If you're good at it, you have some excess left over to take care of your damn family. Those are heavy burdens. You pick up the burdens, you find that's meaningful. The best way to pick up the burden is to continually improve yourself. And that's where the meaning is to be found. And so that meaning is in the continual self-transcendence. That's letting your old self die and the new self be reborn.
And just because something worked 5 years ago doesn't mean it's still going to work today. We have to stay open for change. This is why many people don't have any enthusiasm. There's no freshness in their life. Every time an opportunity comes for change, for increase, because they're not used to it, they shrink back. They don't realize that's what's keeping them from going to the next level.
Everything you imagine is a preview to a coming attraction. Once you understand that, it opens up a wide range of things and possibilities. Imagination is everything. It's the preview to life's coming attraction. That simply means everything that's in your imagination is a preview of a coming attraction that God has for you. That's why he puts it in your imagination.
And in the coming days, don't be surprised if God brings new opportunities across your path. You'll be tempted at first to play it safe and think about all the reasons why you can't do it. You have a gift. You have something to offer. Don't use your God-given talents for the wrong purposes.
As you continue to grow and develop, you will soon discover that last year's systems won't likely meet this year's needs. You see, one of the keys to success is flexibility. We must always be on the search for more effective methods to facilitate and accommodate new ideas.
It's not too late to start right where you are. And some of you today, you just need some freshness in your life. Start stretching yourself. You have to stir up what God's put on the inside. If you don't have a dream, you're not really living, you're just existing.
Just check the circle of your friends.
because the company you keep tells a whole lot about you. The people around you, the more time you spend with them, I don't care who you are, you're going to become like them. The friends in your life are shaping the future of your life. We're not talking about acquaintances. We're not talking about friends at work. We're talking about our circle of friends.
A lot of people don't ever do the things they're capable of doing because they allow themselves to go along with the crowd, following the crowd. And they find themselves in relationships with people who are addicted to mediocrity, and they allow their behavior to influence their behavior, following the crowd. Many people don't do it because of the fact that they allow their lack of self-confidence to immobilize them.
The older I get, the more and more I am convinced that people are borderline obsessed with what's next. I think it's important that you have a vision for your life, and I think it's important that you have an idea of where you're headed, but if you're not careful, you'll get so obsessed with what's next that you'll miss out on what is right now. If you're in college, everyone's like, where are you gonna work? You work for a little while as a single person, everyone's like, when are you gonna get married? You get married, everyone's like, when are you gonna have kids? I'm like, when are you gonna shut up? People are always pushing us into the next season. Because there is this notion and this idea that somehow the grass is green over the fence on the other side. But it takes a mature man of God to recognize the grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is simply green where you choose to water the grass.
Some of you have been doing time on a deadbeat job, and every morning you have to make yourself get up out of the bed and go to work. Pull a smile on your face, because you know you're just serving time. I don't care how bad it looks. I don't care what the circumstance is. Keep the faith. God has not forgotten you. Keep the faith.
Just as God has divine connections lined up for you, people to encourage you, push you forward, He's also lined up people that will try to stop you, discourage you, try to make you look bad. And if you don't understand this principle, you'll get discouraged. That opposition wasn't meant to stop you. It was meant to establish you. When you overcome it, you will not only step into a new level of your destiny, but everyone around you will see the favor of God is on your life.
Well, I think the things that are bad that happen in life can either teach you or break you. And you got to decide what you want them to do. I vote that you allow it to teach you. I vote that you learn from these people, that you learn how to forget about the past, that you learn how to ignore people that are negative, that you learn to control your vengeful ideas, and that you learn to move on into the future where you're going to meet better people and better times are to be had. That's what I would recommend.
Your miracle is never in what you lost. It is always in what you have left. And so when you start looking at what you have left, stop grieving over what you lost. Because if you needed it, you wouldn't have lost it. It might only be a pot of oil, but if it's left, the miracle's always in what's left.
I'm not telling you to change your heart and your desire to help people. What I am trying to tell you is that your circle should not be full of people that are pulling you down. Your circle should be full of people that are pulling you up. Someone say, check your circle. You can't honor people further than you. You can't reach up. Instead, you're more comfortable with everyone at your level or beneath you because it feeds your ego that you're needed. If you're the smartest person in your group, you need another group.
Everything magic is challenging, but once you figure out the challenge and go for it, then the magic occurs. Let me tell you how magical people working together is. If 2 or 3 agree on a common purpose, nothing is impossible. Just try that on for your mental size. If 2 or 3 agree on a common purpose, nothing's impossible. Everybody's looking for a challenge. Here's what I teach. Here's the best challenge in the world. Let's go do it. Not you go do it. Let's go do it. If 2 or 3 of us decide on a common purpose to do it, nothing's impossible. Working together, organizing. When everybody's an independent, now it's a little more challenging. It is challenging. You've got a variety. But that's what makes life the variety.
Don't isolate yourself and think, well, I'm strong enough. I'm tough enough. I'm talented enough. Are you flying solo, or do you have a community of faith? People flying with you, watching over you, encouraging you, inspiring you.
Here's one of the powers of working together, shared testimonials. If I've got somebody new and you're there and I'm there, I give them my testimonial, you give your testimonial. Maybe what tips the scales in getting me a new person is not my testimonial, but my partner's testimonial, somebody I'm working with. Shared testimonials are so powerful. That's why working together is powerful. Now, working by yourself is okay. All this stuff is okay. Everybody needs to know, though, where are the advantages?
You can be good by yourself, but you can't be great by yourself. You won't become all you were created to be without the right people around you. You can go 60%, but when you get in formation, when you have a family of faith blocking for you, praying for you, encouraging you, you'll go 40% further. Every time we come together, you're being refreshed, re-energized. It's like your batteries are being recharged. What the weak took out of you, God is putting back in you.
You support what they're doing. You try and build a relationship with them. That's what you try and do. This part of this that we're talking about, the competitiveness. Like if they want to maneuver and try and make you look bad and jump in the spotlight and try and get all the credit, it's fine. Let them do it. And everyone is going to see what they're doing. And they might not see it immediately, but they will eventually be found out. So do your best to support them. Do your best to help them. Do your best to build the relationship. Make the mission the most important thing, not the little politics that you're about to dive into and get involved in. Don't make that the primary thing. Make the primary thing accomplishing the mission.